Hi and welcome along to DR Sports for our transfer show where we give you a daily update on the crazy world of transfer. You ever thought how crazy transfers are? And we love it. We absolutely love it. First thing I'm going to update you guys on today is Raphinha. Now, Raphinha, I know very well as an Arsenal fan because we were in for him. But a couple of months ago, nobody saw this coming. He was playing for Leeds. He was doing brilliantly, really, really well for them. But come the end of the season, it started to become very obvious that he needed or he wanted to move on. First club to come in for him were Arsenal. They were bidding for him. Then right at the last minute, in came Chelsea with a big bid, £65 million, bang, right on the table to get the deal for Raphinha done. However, the player himself wanted to move to Barcelona. He'd apparently spoken to Barcelona previously, and that was the destination that he wanted to go to, and he has now got his move. This deal will be wrapped up imminently. Barcelona is said to be paying around about £55 million plus add-ons, and he will become a Barcelona player. A dream move for Raphinha. And both Chelsea and Arsenal missing out on this excellent player, but he will be going to Barcelona. Barcelona got a lot of good news, for a team that, a few weeks ago, everybody was saying, well, they're not going to be able to buy anybody. They just need to sell loads of people. They're not going to be able to buy anyone. The other good news for them is that they're going to be able to retain Ousmane Dembele. Ousmane Dembele, whose contract come to an end for Barcelona, has agreed to stay at Barcelona, and he's going to be signing on to a new contract. He's taken a big wage cut to stay at Barcelona. So if you're a Barcelona fan, it's exciting times because, Ousmane Dembele on one wing, Raphinha on the other. They've got Aubameyang there, of course. Still looking to bring in Robert Lewandowski as well. From the doom and gloom, they could have a really, really exciting team. And, of course, they're back in the Champions League as well for next season. So, interesting times for Barcelona and a massive move for Raphinha. On La Liga, I want to ask you this one. Now, I've seen this rumour today about Alexander Isak of Real Sociedad. Heavily, heavily linked today with a move to Newcastle. Now, Newcastle, they were interested in Raphinha. Didn't happen. They've been looking at Musa Diaby from Bayer Leverkusen, but Bayer Leverkusen are saying, listen, we want 65 million pounds. Newcastle are like, no, it's too expensive. Now the big news today is that Newcastle are willing to try and get Alexander Isak. Alexander Isak has apparently said he would be up for moving to the Premier League. Now, this is a really interesting one because as an Arsenal fan, I remember it was last year, Arsenal heavily linked with a move to Alexander Isak. Not just Arsenal, several clubs. Tottenham, I think, as well. Several clubs interested in him. The sticking point for all of the clubs was the release clause of £70 million that Real Sociedad had on him. The talk is now that they take the 50 million. Now, is this where clubs sometimes, need to be a bit more reasonable in what they do? Because I was looking at his record today and wondering to myself, why is it that this season, when there's so many teams around that need a striker, nobody's really gone in until this bid now from Newcastle for Alexander Isak? And I was looking at his stats, and 6 goals he scored last season, 6 league goals in 31 appearances. That is pretty poor, isn't it? Pretty poor for a striker. And I think there might be a lot of those clubs thinking to themselves that, when they were being quoted the 70 million and that, thinking, you know what, we got this one absolutely spot on because, look, he's not a prolific goal scorer. However, Newcastle are interested in him. They're keen to bring in a striker. They, of course, they got Callum Wilson, but he's been very injury prone. They brought in Chris Wood, but he's not really done the business either since he's come in, and they're keen to add a striker to the team. They've been looking at people like Brozier and various other targets, but now it looks like they could make a move for Alexander Isak. 50 million is the price that they're being quoted apparently, and it looks like Newcastle would be willing to pay that. But I'm going to ask you guys, is Alexander Isak worth it? is even, I'm not even talking about the 70 million now, I'm on about the 50 million. Is Alexander Isak worth 50 million pounds? Benny here with a super chat, he's saying Isak not worth more than a bag of deflated football. His value's really dropped. I remember he played in the Euros, didn't he? And he looked really, really good in the Euros. Even though he did score a lot of goals, but his hold-up play, his pacing behind, he looked a really, really good player. And that sparked a lot of interest. But since then, as I said, it's been a bit flat. He's not really been banging in the goals. And 50 million pounds? 6 goals? I don't know, man. I think that could be money better spent elsewhere. I'd love to hear from you guys in the chat. Alexander Isak, is he worth it? Just going back on Chelsea for a moment. Chelsea, of course, look like they're going to get a couple of really big signings across the line. Raheem Sterling on the verge of joining them. That's as good as done. I saw that he's going to be flying out to America to join up with the Chelsea team. So that looks like that's definitely done. Kalidou Koulibaly of Napoli, long considered as one of the best centre-backs in the world. A lot of people compare him and Van Dijk, and they say one of them two. Looks like he's going to be playing in the Premier League for Chelsea as well. They look like they've got a deal sorted for him as well for around about £34 million. He only had 1 year left on his contract at Napoli, and Kalidou Koulibaly will be joining with Chelsea. We know that Chelsea have been desperately trying to bring in a centre-back. Rudiger left, of course, Christensen. And this will represent a really, really marquee signing for them. And it's going to be interesting to see Koulibaly in the Premier League. And again, I want to put this one out there as well. Koulibaly, as good as Van Dijk? I mean, we'll find out. We really will find out, but it's going to be really interesting to see. And also, the other centre-back that Chelsea are trying to get as well, which they seem like they're going to get this one over the line as well, is Nathan Ake of Manchester City. Going to have to pay around about £45 million for him. That's a lot of money for Nathan Ake, I think. But let's not forget, Nathan Ake, even though he's been used sparingly at Manchester City, he's a top player. We're going to see him at the World Cup. He is one of the main players for that Dutch team, so don't discount him. And they should be getting those two defenders in. So Nathan Ake and Kalidou Koulibaly for Chelsea. Chelsea fans, are you happy with those signings? I saw on Twitter yesterday somebody saying that when you look at Chelsea's signings, they're not very progressive. You know, they noted that like Todd Bowley, who's the new owner, or is it Ted Bowley? Todd Bowley has taken over, obviously, at Chelsea, and he's taken over all the signings. Remember, the people who used to do the signings, Marina, and did signings at Chelsea, they've left now, and he's taken personal responsibility for these signings. And whilst they're great signings and they seem, you know, real statement signings, are they the type of signings that Chelsea need? You can't argue with Raheem Sterling. It's a no-brainer. He's an absolute world-class player. So that's a great signing. Kalidou Koulibaly is a little bit older, or does it matter when you're a centre-back? I mean, Chelsea have got a great example of that, you know what I mean, with centre-backs and the experience of Thiago Silva, and at his age and the quality that he's been playing at. But I'd love to hear from Chelsea fans on that. But a couple of big signings happened for Chelsea. They've taken a little while to get going in the transfer market, but they're coming hard. Manchester United, what they're going to do? They're still celebrating their big win yesterday in a friendly over Liverpool, where they beat them 4-0. And they're looking to add as well. Now, one player that doesn't look well, they're struggling to add, is Frankie de Jong. He's still saying he doesn't want to leave Barcelona, and he wants to stay, even though it looks like Barcelona would be willing to let him go and take the money for him. But he's holding out and saying that he doesn't want to go. They do, however, look like they will get Lisandro Martinez. Another player has been heavily linked with Arsenal. Arsenal sort of the first team in for him. Manchester United have put down £45 million plus add-ons on the table, and they're getting closer and closer to getting this deal done for the Argentinian centre-back, who can also play left-back and defensive midfielder. And I don't know if you saw the news on Cristiano Ronaldo. Now, apparently, Cristiano Ronaldo was his representatives went and spoke to PSG and said, listen, he wants to leave United. He wants to get away. Would you be up for taking Cristiano Ronaldo? I mean, be the dream team. I mean, Ronaldo, Neymar, Mbappe, Messi. I mean, FIFA, right? However, PSG turned it down, said they're not interested in Cristiano Ronaldo. So, bit of a blow there to Ronaldo's ego, I guess. But Ronaldo not going to be going to PSG. And I'm still asking the question, where is he going to go? I mean, Chelsea, they still need a striker. So, a possibility of Chelsea. But would Manchester United let Cristiano Ronaldo join Chelsea? They could still hold out. He's still got 1 year left on his deal. But beyond Chelsea, I just cannot see where Cristiano Ronaldo will go. He's not going to go to Barcelona. I don't think he'll go to Bayern. Even if Lewandowski leaves, I think they'd go for somebody younger. He's done Juventus already. Inter Milan have already got Lukaku. PSG don't want him. City don't want him. Liverpool don't want him. Where's he going to go? You know, it'd be interesting to see. Getting into some of your comments, and I really, really appreciate all the comments that are coming in. This one coming from Jacob. He says, hope they buy Isak because it's a total rip-off. £40 million max. Of course, talking about max, Newcastle are going to get hit now with Newcastle tax. Every team that they approach, those owners are like, what you mean Newcastle? The ones with the Arab owners, the Saudi owners, the multi-billionaires, the guys that are, have a £200 billion wealth fund. Bump the price up. That's what they're going to be faced with. But of course, Newcastle, despite having all this money, they've still got to, stick to the financial fair play rules. Those rules are starting to be looked at very stringently. Not like when Man City and Chelsea first came in the game and they used all kind of little maneuvers to get around it. I think there's a lot more scrutiny going on it right now. So Newcastle have to, even though they've got a lot of money to spend, they have to spend wisely, they have to spend intelligently, and they have to make sure they don't break any rules. Ashwin here says, Don Rob, Chelsea getting Sterling and Koulibaly, Spurs doing a madness. It's going to be a very competitive for the likes of Arsenal and Manchester United. Very, very true. When you look at some of the signings that have come in, I mean, Manchester City, Haaland, Alvarez, Calvin Phillips, they have really strengthened. They're looking solid. Liverpool, Darwin Nunez, of course, who they've brought in. He didn't look too impressive in front of goal yesterday, but listen, don't watch that. It's a friendly. He will do well at Liverpool. £85 million on him. New contract for Salah. They've got Diaz already as well. Carvalho, they're looking good. They're looking strong as usual, Liverpool. And then, like you said, Chelsea. It's Raheem Sterling, Koulibaly, Nathan Ake, amongst others they may buy. They're going to be strong. Don't know what Man United are going to do yet, but it's looking like Lisandro Martinez, maybe Frankie de Jong. They could still pull that one off before the end of the window. Tottenham, of course, bringing in Richarlison, Bissouma, Perisic, Lenglet at the back. They're going to be strong. Arsenal, Gabriel Jesus, Fabio Vieira, Marquinhos, and they're looking at getting more signings as well. So it's going to be a real battle at the top there, isn't it? Everybody's looking at, I saw today as well, West Ham United looking at Scamacca, who's the Italian centre forward, 6'5", has burst into the international team from Sassuolo. They're interested in signing him. That's going to be 50 million euros Sassuolo want for him. PSG have already turned that down and said it's too much. West Ham might get him. That just shows you as well the spending power of the teams in the Premier League. They are the ones that have got the money. A lot of other teams around Europe right now, because of the pandemic, they just cannot go in for those type of players. They just have not got the money to do it. But the Premier League clubs do. And they're making all the big signings at the moment, apart from, say, Barcelona. Benny, I knew this would come. Benny says Nunez a bust. He couldn't hit the net versus the USA either. Like, I feel it's too early. Listen, this guy, he was really, really good last year for Benfica. Remember the game when he played against Liverpool? I think that's the game where Liverpool said, wow, you know what, let's go and get this guy. He was brilliant in that game. But it's going to take him time to get, to get up to speed. I think, you know what? This could be... struggle's the wrong word when describing Liverpool. They're not going to struggle. But a player like him, replacing Mane, who was an established guy who knew every team, did it week in, week out, Liverpool fans are going to have to give Darwin Nunez time. He's going to have to adjust to the Premier League and to Premier League defences. They're going to have to give him time. But I think if you give him time, he's going to be good. We've got a poll going on. Would you take Isak at your club for the reported fee of £50 million? 33% say yes. 67% no. They would not take Alexander Isak for that sort of money. Benny getting a bit of stick here. Existed, or I can see he's a Liverpool fan saying, what drugs did you take, Benny? All right, so he's not having it. Listen, you've got to give him time. And Emu Show says, it's not Isak, Robbie, it's Isak. All right, Isak, for me, £50 million, a lot of money. But remember, he's got a release clause of £70 million. £70 million. King says, Martinez just agreed terms to join with United. He's going to be, I think it's Manchester United. I think Arsenal have really cooled on that deal, remembering that deal sort of started off at around about 30 million and then's risen because of a bit of a bidding war up to 45 million. I think Arsenal just said, nah, it's too much money. We're not going there. Darren says, Newcastle have been smart negotiators. They won't pay over the odds. Well, what's not over the odds for Alexander Isak? What would you say is his true value right now? Actually, I'm going to go and check on, there's that really good site called Transfer Market sometimes. They give what they think is the current valuation of a player. Let me see what they're saying on Isak. They're saying £27 million is what they're valuing him at the moment. And I'd say that's accurate. I would say that is accurate because he's a young player. Listen, he's a very, very young player. Still, he's got years of him. 22, still only 22. He's a Swedish international. But as I said, he's not a prolific goal scorer if that's what Newcastle are looking for. So Alpha Metro says Newcastle can spend 200 million this year because regardless of what their fans say, Mike Ashley was very good with the finances. Well, he didn't spend anything, did he? So they have got a lot of money they can spend. But still, do you want to do a massive part of your budget on Alexander Isak? Is he worth £50 million? User 99 says, sorry, the poll just came up over here. He says, I thought last season was very competitive. This one is looking like a madness. Yep. Jake Snacks 11 says Arsenal need to unload players urgently, Robbie. Well, there will be a lot of players leaving Arsenal. Bernd Leno is the one at the moment. Looks like he's going to be the first one through the door. Negotiating with Fulham at the moment. Fulham not wanting to pay the £11 million that Arsenal are asking for him. But I think he will leave. Joseph says, user 99, I guess is an Arsenal. He says, I guess it's Arsenal that develops Mason Mount, James, Tomori, Chalobah, Mark Gay, Abraham, laugh out loud. Mark Gay, who Chelsea sold last season to Crystal Palace and has been absolutely brilliant for them. And now they're having to fork out all these sort of money on Nathan Ake. It just goes to show sometimes you got your homegrown talent there. Tammy Abraham, brilliant last season for Roma. Sold, Sometimes you've got to go with your young talent. Bear says Carvalho and Elliott may be the surprise packet. Of course, Carvalho, I'll tell you what, watched him in the Championship for Fulham. Brilliant player, skillful, really, really good. I think he's going to do well at Liverpool. When I watch Carvalho play, I'm like, that's a Liverpool player. He suits Liverpool down to the ground. Obviously, Premier League, bigger test, But I think that is, and Harvey Elliott, I heard Jurgen Klopp saying the other day, saying, all right, I know everybody's having a go at me, saying we haven't made no, really much signings and that, but we got Harvey Elliott in that midfield. And he goes, he hardly played last season because of the injury. He's going to be like a new signing, as Arsene Wenger always used to say. Let's get into some more comments. Ned says, I swear Arsenal was looking at Isak, but because you couldn't get him, you're asking if he's worth it. Well, actually, mate, if you actually watch even on AFTV, Transfer Daily, I've been asking that same question. Even before I heard about these Newcastle links, I was saying the other day, whatever happened to Alexander Isak? And I remember last year when we were linked to him saying that £70 million release clause, which they were holding firm on Real Sociedad and saying, listen, nothing less. I was like, he ain't worth it. Because I just don't see the goal-scoring record that justifies that. Darwin Nunez went for £85 million, but he was smashing in the goals last season. But 6 goals in the season. Come on, that's never worth it. Nowhere near worth that, is he? I mean, let's be real. So, and, that valuation of around about £27 million is probably accurate. I'm not saying that he might not come over and do well, but we just got to be careful. Sometimes you hear of these strikers banging in goals elsewhere. I mean, I think of the example of that last season. Well, Lukaku, innit? He was banging in the goals for Inter Milan's come to the Premier League and has not been able to reproduce that at all. Patson Daka, who was smashing in goals left, right and centre over there in Austrian football, comes to the Premier League as... he's not got going at all. So it's a different test in this Premier League. Angelo Cross says, Chelsea do horrible business in the overall scheme of things. Just cover up all of their mistakes with big signings. Is some of that going on here where Chelsea, new owner's in, he wants to make a statement to the fans and he's just going, right, you know what, I'm just going to go big. I'm just going big. Yeah, Koulibaly, big. Is Koulibaly past it? Or is he? I haven't seen enough of him recently, but all I know is that when I have seen him, he is a top quality defender. He really is, up there with your Van Dijks on his day. But is he still at that level? Existed says, but there ain't no space for Carvalho at Liverpool. Too many top players. Well, that's what top teams do. Top teams have a top squad. And remember, this season, 5 subs in every game. The World Cup coming in the middle of the season. Liverpool are right to have a big squad. Jack Taylor says, Milinkovic-Savic should be our priority midfield target. He's an Arsenal fan. This guy is unreal. We bid 60 million euros and we will get him. Makes it seem so easy. When he says it like that. This guy here, Mogobekiyeki, says, Robbie, you're waffling. You don't watch Koulibaly. I just said, when I've watched Koulibaly, is a top player. I haven't seen him, towards the tail end of last season. I didn't see much of him. Can you tell me if he's still at those really extreme high levels? Or are Chelsea just going out there and buying a name? I don't know, right? All I know is that if he's at the same levels that what I saw him at, £34 million, definitely worth it. Only thing is the age factor that starts to move against a player like that who's so combative. So, Zulu Warrior says, yeah, Chelsea do horrible business. Just hold 2 Champions League, 2 Europa Leagues, 5 Premier Leagues, 1 World Cup title, 1 Super Cup. Arsenal wish their business was that horrible. I never said it, mate. Gosh. It weren't me who said it. By the way, I saw another bit of news today. Manchester United's Juan Mata speaking to Leeds. I know Juan Mata's loved up there in Manchester. Would that sort of affect his credentials with Manchester United fans? There's a bit of hatred between them and Leeds. So would there be a bit... certainly be a decent move for Leeds. He'd be a very experienced player to bring in. They seem to lack a little bit of experience last year. The other question I want to ask you guys is, where do you think Ronaldo's going? Where do you think he's going to end up? I was asking that question earlier. Really interested to know. Gouda Vettel says, Robbie, thoughts on Yuri selling his house in Leicester? Well, Yuri Tielemans, even though he's back in training, he's going to be leaving. He's going to be leaving. So that's not a surprise, really. It's just where he ends up. User99 says, Robbie, where do you think Newcastle will finish this season? Good question. You know what? Newcastle, they've got a good team. I mean, listen, when Arsenal played them, I was at the game when we played them in that game, infamous game, which we got beat by them, which cost us the top 4. But I must admit, they're a very good side. Very strong, aggressive side. In Bruno Guimaraes, they've got an absolutely top quality player. Callum Wilson. I mean, they've got, St. Maximan. They've already got good players. And if they add intelligently to that squad, I mean, listen, I could see a top 6 finish for Newcastle. I really could. They're going to be up there. In the next few seasons, they are definitely going to be up there. Newcastle, I think, are no joke. So, yeah, I mean, where's Ronaldo going to end up? Nelson says PSG. Well, I said already, Nelson, that apparently his agents pushed him to PSG. PSG not interested. So I don't think he will end up at PSG. So, but he's saying PSG. HGOG says Chelsea. I could see that possibly. They'd have the money to do it. Chelsea, of course. We know that the owner's making a lot of statement signings. That would be exciting for Chelsea fans, wouldn't it? Ronaldo, Raheem Sterling, or would it? I don't know. Chelsea fans, let me know. But would Man United, already Manchester United saying they're not going to let Ronaldo leave, would they let him go to Chelsea? Imagine him going to Chelsea and then, he starts, which he would do, starts banging in the goals. So, yeah. This one here, Ahmed says CR7 is the GOAT, but where is he going to end up? Tuchel doesn't want Ronaldo, says Harry. I've seen that as well. That Tuchel, but sometimes with some of these decisions, it's not in the hands of the manager. Tuchel didn't really want Lukaku, did he? He still got him. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe if you're loving this content. We're going to be here every day with transfer updates. Matisse is also going to be joining me as well, so make sure you check that out. Patman says, Ronaldo won't leave this window. I think he'll throw his toys out of the pram around December time, and he'll force a move for cheap in January. Do you know what? That wouldn't shock me, That wouldn't shock me, especially if United weren't doing well. Yeah. Not beyond Cristiano Ronaldo, although he's a very professional guy, but not beyond, Das says Ronaldo to Newcastle, maybe in a few years' time, but right now he's already said that he wants to be playing in the Champions League. Newcastle, not even in Europe, so I can't see that happening. Neil D'Souza says, Robbie, would you take Ronaldo at Arsenal? Ooh. That's a great question, isn't it? You put me on the spot there. I never even thought of that, but I would, Yeah. You know what? How can you turn down Ronaldo? It's like one of the best players of all time. How could you turn him down? You can't, can you? I mean, would he affect, Gabriel Jesus and players like that? Would that then... The guy that you bought into play as a number 9, all of a sudden now you're saying, well, actually, you're going to have to move because out to the right-hand side. What does that do to Martinelli and all these? It does stop progress of some of these players, but how do you turn down Cristiano Ronaldo? That's the thing. He's the GOAT, isn't he? Him and Messi. It would seem ridiculous to turn any of those two down. Anthony Gaming 67 says, Cristiano Ronaldo go to Manchester. Well... I guess he's saying he thinks he'll stay. Sajal says Chelsea needed Koulibaly's experience. He's a perfect Silva replacement for next season. Tell you what, Silva, he's a machine, isn't he? He's still been brilliant. And what's this one? Peter says the problem with Ronaldo he doesn't want to take a pay cut. Robbie, this is a 37-year-old Ronaldo, not 27, but he still was Manchester United's top goal scorer last season. He still was about the third top goal scorer in the Premier League. He's still got it. He's still professional. He don't look like he's 37. The only thing about him is that in this sort of modern day football, he doesn't do things like tracking back and helping out defences, but there is no question in his fitness levels. It's not that he can't do that. It's just he don't want to do that. It's not his part. He's just like, yeah, I'm here to score goals. I'm not here to do all that sort of stuff. Riddler says, a 37-year-old Ronaldo, no thank you. Anthony Gaming says that, he's saying Cristiano Ronaldo would go to Manchester City. They've got Haaland. Haaland's their big sign. They brought in Alvarez. They don't want Ronaldo. No chance. I couldn't see it. I'm sorry. I was trying to work out what team that guy was saying. I can't quite work him out. Andrew says, Robbie, we don't want Ronaldo. What is wrong with you? Listen, I'm just... how can you turn down Cristiano Ronaldo? I get what you're saying. He would hold, but how could you turn him down? You can't turn down Cristiano Ronaldo. And let me see if I can get maybe one more up here. Ben Gunestab says, surely the MLS for Ronaldo this summer or next. Well, he says he wants to play in the Champions League. So surely that takes the... I mean, I think he will be in the MLS. I could see him going to Beckham's teams or one of those teams that have got a great chance of winning it and doing well there. But, Hamed said, not right now for the MLS, I don't think. Hamed says, I'm taking Ronaldo any day of the week. He's the GOAT and still scored over 20 goals last season. Exactly. Daz says 10 years too late for Arsenal. Pages says 37, no, and we've done a poll on it. 51% said you'd take him at your... I'm surprised at that. Would you take Ronaldo at your club? Only 52% say... Sorry, only 48% say yes. That's a shock to me. I would have thought that it'd be up in the 80s, 90%, but wow. Anas says he'll go back to Sporting, but again, he wants to go and try and win the Champions League. I don't think he'll go back yet. Ray says apparently Ronaldo does not want to play to prove anything. He's on retirement. Well, he's doing all right in retirement, scoring that amount of goals. And Akis says, I would take Ronaldo in a heartbeat. I don't care about project. We've been in a project for 15 years now. We threw away so many seasons in December. Might as well bring in the GOAT and give it a go. Wow. All right. Well, listen, thanks very much for watching the show today. Don't forget, we're going to be back tomorrow, giving you the big updates as well with all the transfer news. Subscribe here to DR Sports and don't forget to like this video. And thanks for joining me today, and I'll see you tomorrow.